You're watching VinylicPumaGaming. What's up, guys? Back with another Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel countdown, and today I wanted to go over what I think are some of the best non-elemental guns and weapons from both games. Now, non-elemental weapons sort of get a bad rap in Borderlands 2 because elemental weapons are largely superior. Not only do elemental weapons deal increased damage to enemies that are vulnerable to those elements, but they also receive multiplicative damage bonuses when paired with the proper elemental relics and skills. The same is the case in the pre-sequel. However, Ultimate Vault Hunter mode had better balance, so you might not even notice in the pre-sequel. Plus, the Oz kits that boost elemental damage only do so while you're in a vacuum. Now, this list is going to have a significant number of Jacob's weapons, but this list will also contain some Bandit or Scav, Doll, and Hyperion weapons as well. And as I alluded to earlier, you can probably find better weapons than these that come in other elements, but I think that these are the best non-elemental exclusive guns from both games. So without further ado, these are the top 10 best non-elemental guns and weapons in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, starting now. Number 10, the Trespasser. So the Trespasser is a Jacob's sniper rifle that has the ability to bypass shields entirely and deals damage directly to an enemy's health bar. The downside is that you're getting reduced base damage. If you've played the very first Borderlands, the Trespasser is an homage to Mordecai's trespass skill, which would allow any weapon to bypass the enemy's shields. As a weapon up against most mob enemies, you may find that the Trespasser isn't going to be much of an improvement at first. However, when combined with Zero's critical ascension ability, you'll find that you can have the Trespasser's damage surpass the Seraph Hawkeye sniper rifle, provided that you have enough stacks. Plus, the ability to deal damage directly to an enemy's health bar can prove to be extremely useful. What the Trespasser is more commonly used for is up against two of the game's raid bosses. The Trespasser can remove Pyropete's face mask before you deplete any of his shield. Normally, you would have to deplete his shield first, then remove his face mask once his shield was depleted. You can also use the Trespasser during the fight with Veracitus and Chief Nuguatu. If you're quick enough, you can use the Trespasser to quickly kill the Chief, that way Veracitus can't receive the shield that Chief Nuguatu has. As far as both raid bosses go, having the Trespasser makes both of these fights much easier. This is going to be a weapon that's most useful towards the end of the game. While it's decent earlier on, the lower base damage definitely makes it a little less viable than some weapons with higher base damage. That said, if the enemies you're fighting have really high shields, the Trespasser is a great choice. Number 9, the Omni Cannon. So the Omni Cannon is a pretty decent sniper rifle that you can get as a part of Borderlands the Pre-Sequel's Claptastic Voyage DLC. The primary damage component here is the non-elemental damage, but you could argue that the Omni Cannon is actually dual elemental in the sense that you are also dealing a small amount of explosive damage as splash damage. This effect is actually pretty nice up against enemies that you've already frozen. Not only will you be dealing enhanced critical hit damage because the enemy is frozen, but the explosive damage you're dealing as splash also gets a slight damage boost as well. That said, this gun isn't without its downsides. The first is the relatively low fire rate. To give you a rough idea, the Omni Cannon's fire rate matches that of a Jacob's bolt-action sniper rifle. It's unfortunate that this is the case because the Omni Cannon isn't a bolt-action sniper. Another problem you may find is that you can find regular Jacob's sniper rifles that are non-unique that may be capable of more non-elemental damage. However, I would also argue that the Omni Cannon is going to have far less recoil than those sniper rifles and is much easier to use in that regard. Now, while there is initial sway while this weapon is scoped, it's not really that bad when you're playing on a higher field of view. So as long as you're on PC or the newer consoles, I'd say that you're going to be good. If you want an Omni Cannon, you'll need to go to the subconscious area in the Claptastic Voyage DLC and kill Sponks. You'll need to complete a side quest mission called the Temple of Boom before you can refarm Sponks repeatedly. Number 8, the Lascaux. I would say that in a certain sense, the Lascaux SMG is going to be Borderlands 2's version of the non-unique Anarchy SMG from the very first Borderlands. The difference being that the double Anarchy can fire up to 4 projectiles per shot, while the Lascaux can have no more than 2 projectiles per shot. Even still, the Lascaux has other advantages over the Anarchy from the original Borderlands. One of the biggest is that it's much easier to acquire. All you have to do is go to Frostburn Canyon, enter the cave portion area, and check the various pools to snatch one of these up. This alone makes the Lascaux one of the easiest guns to farm in the entire game, as you don't even have to kill a boss and it will always be there. The only real drawback here, though, is that in normal mode, you can only receive a level 8 version of the weapon, and the Lascaux's level doesn't scale up until you've completed True Vault Hunter mode. Just like the Anarchy SMG, the Lascaux is really good at short to medium range. In fact, the low recoil and fixed bullet pattern make it really easy to get each projectile to hit on target while hip firing. Like all dull weapons, the Lascaux does have burst fire mode. However, unlike all dull weapons, it has variable burst, so sometimes you might get 4 or you may get 5 burst count. This is a really good gun early on in the game as well as later on in the game, and this could be a nice option for Zero players if they want an easy way to bore Hyperius, and Gauge players may find it useful with gauges close enough and Anarchy skills. Check this gun out if you haven't, and I think the best part about it is it's free. Number 7, the Triquetra. So the Triquetra is a really nice Jacobs shotgun that's acquired upon completing one of the Zafford vs. Hodunk side quest missions called Clan War End of the Rainbow. This quest involves killing the Bagman, which can result in the player obtaining the Pot of Gold shield, if you're curious about that. But I digress. In addition to being one of the cooler looking weapons in Borderlands 2, the Triquetra is a variant of the non-unique Jacobs Bushwhack with improved base damage as well as greater pellet count. You're also getting a fixed bullet pattern in the shape of a Triquetra, which, if you're curious what that looks like, it's on the side of this shotgun's barrel. Now, fun fact, the Triquetra can apparently sport the highest pellet count of any shotgun in Borderlands 2. If you have a version with the vertical grip or the Rustler's prefix, you can have up to 21 projectiles firing from this weapon. I can imagine this would have been amazing before the B-Shield got nerfed. Really though, there's not a whole lot else to this shotgun. It's a pretty nice gun that you should be able to use about midway through your playthrough of Borderlands 2 on each difficulty. At higher levels on Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, I really like to use the Triquetra shotgun with Salvador and his Money Shot ability. You may also find that this is a good shotgun to use with Zero's Bore ability as well. Number 6, the Party Popper. The Party Popper pistol is easily one of the strongest pop guns in any video game ever. I also think despite this gun having horrible range, it can prove to be extremely powerful in Borderlands 3 sequel up against frozen enemies. The big thing here is that the Party Popper pistol fires about 7 projectiles per shot at the cost of 1 ammo. While these projectiles don't travel particularly far, you can combine the Party Popper pistol with any Oz kit that is cryo element. That way, you can slam on the ground, freezing the enemy in the process, and then quickly take aim at their crit spots and unload all 7 projectiles into their face. What's also great about this particular weapon is that since it's a scav weapon, you've also got a pretty big magazine size. The Party Popper is really good on pretty much any character, though as I mentioned before, you're going to want to use it with an Oz kit that has Ice Slam, so enemies are frozen much easier. Just keep in mind that you're going to want to use the Party Popper like you would with any close-range shotgun. After all, mid to long-range combat with this gun is impossible. I've found that I really like to use this gun with Handsome Jack. When combined with some of Jack's kill skills, you're getting almost no ammo consumption along with further improved gun and critical hit damage. Now, to get the Party Popper, you will need to complete the Claptastic Voyage DLC for the pre-sequel, and once you've done that, you will need to start and complete the Haxor's side quest mission, and if you do, you will get your hands on this gun. Number 5, the Jacobs Gatling Gun. The Jacobs Gatling Gun is a non-unique Jacobs assault rifle with the Vladov minigun barrel for assault rifles. Unlike most other weapons with this particular barrel, the Gatling gun has no wind-up time, fires 3 projectiles per shot instead of just 1, and is semi-automatic as opposed to automatic. Like all other non-unique weapons, this gun doesn't have a designated drop area. However, it can be acquired during any playthrough from any suitable loot source. Because this weapon also has the Vladov minigun barrel, it's only available on guns that are green rarity or higher, so you won't be seeing any white rarity versions. This gun is really good for several reasons. Like other Jacobs weapons, this gun fires as fast as you can pull the trigger, which means it's possible to fire a lot of projectiles in a very short amount of time. And another thing that's worth mentioning is that since the Gatling gun is a Jacobs weapon, it's going to have superior critical hit damage when you compare it to other standard assault rifles. Now, the only problems that I foresee you having are with recoil. However, if you can get a version with a dull stock, this should counteract a lot of the problems that you're going to be having with recoil. Another issue you may run into is with magazine size and ammo consumption per shot. Typically, the Gatling gun consumes 3 bullets per trigger pull, and you may find it chews through ammo very quickly. And for this reason, I recommend you acquire one in purple rarity with the flush prefix if possible. As you play through normal and true Vault Hunter mode, it's worth your time to keep an eye out for these things. The Gatling gun is a really great weapon, even if it is a little bit uncommon. Number 4, the Flare. The Flare is a variant of the Jacobs Coach Gun, or the standard non-unique double-barrel shotgun from Jacobs. While the base damage is largely the same as the Coach Gun, the Flare usually has a better projectile multiplier and always has about quadruple the magazine size. Instead of firing 1 shot or so before reloading, the Flare will allow you to fire at least 4 shots before reloading. This improvement to magazine size makes the Flare capable of sustaining higher DPS than the original Coach Gun. Like many of the other Claptastic Voyage legendaries, I would say that the best way to get the Flare is during the final mission of the DLC after defeating Eclipse and EOS. While I've also heard that you can get the Flare from killing virus enemies, I've personally never seen the Flare drop this way. As far as characters go, this is a really nice shotgun on pretty much everyone in the pre-sequel. It can be really nice on Jack and Athena, as they have skills which can allow your shots to not consume ammo, and you may also find that the Flare is really nice on Nisha when combined with Hot Lead and Tombstone. The Flare is a great shotgun, plus it's one of the most sinister looking guns from both games. Number 3. The Maggie. So the Maggie is probably the best legendary Jacobs weapon in Borderlands 2, and it's also one of the best legendary Jacobs weapons from Borderlands the pre-sequel. The Maggie, in a sense, is a shotgun in pistol form. Unlike most shotguns, however, you're getting about 6 shots at the cost of 1 bullet, 10 shots on the double accessory, or 2 for prefix versions. Unlike most shotguns, I think the Maggie might just be a little more accurate, as it sometimes feels like you could get more of the individual projectiles to hit on target than you can with most other shotguns. I'd also say that the Maggie is relatively decent at long range as well. While you may find that there are certainly better options out there for long-range pistols, the Maggie is just a really good and versatile pistol for all of the characters from both games. While you may find there are better options in the pre-sequel, the Maggie is going to be one of the best Jacobs pistols that you can get in Borderlands 2. Now, obtaining this gun is fairly random in the pre-sequel. In Borderlands 2, you can receive this gun upon killing Mick Zafford during or after the Clan War Zaffords vs. Hodunks side quest mission. Alternatively, you could decide to kill the Hodunks to receive the Slaga SMG, which is also a really good weapon. It's a pretty tough choice between the two, as both, again, are great weapons. Number 2, the Becca. So the Becca is easily among one of the best pearlescent guns and weapons in Borderlands 2. It's also one of the best assault rifles in Borderlands 2 as well. This is mostly because of its special effect that's sort of hard to describe, but it is much easier to show in gameplay. Now, the way I would describe it is that the initial projectile appears to split into 2, with the one traveling at regular speed, while the other travels a certain distance, stops, splits into 3, and then travels and hits the target. What I do know is that you're getting 4 projectiles fired at the cost of just 1 bullet, and all of them appear to deal the exact same amount of damage. And what's also cool is that these 3 split projectiles are unlisted on the weapons item card, and they get full amp damage from the B shield. If it's possible, I think the best version of the Becca is going to be the one with the magazine accessory or flesh prefix, along with a dull stock. This way, you're getting significantly improved magazine size and much better recoil. And as far as characters go, you'll find that this is going to be a really nice assault rifle on Axton when he's using the Rifleman class mod, and it's also pretty nice on Zero and Maya as well. Now, the only real problem with the Becca is its acquisition. You'll need to be at least level 61, and the Becca only drops from tubby enemies. Even when it drops from tubby enemies, this weapon is quite rare, and getting the ideal version can take a long time. But I would say it's worth it. Number 1. The Luck Cannon. The Luck Cannon is the best legendary Jacobs pistol in Borderlands the pre-sequel, and requires the Claptastic Voyage DLC for that game. While it's definitely a quirky and somewhat bizarre weapon, with the right character and right build, the Luck Cannon can be insanely powerful. There's some confusion as to where you can get this gun. While I've heard that it has an increased chance to drop from either badass glitches or ad bugs, I've definitely seen the Luck Cannon drop upon defeating Eclipse and EOS at the very end of the DLC during the final quest. Now, the Luck Cannon has significantly improved base damage, but it also has a magazine size of 1. In exchange for such a low magazine size, you may realize that the Luck Cannon has a built-in money shot ability which can potentially boost this weapon's damage even more. While you can make this gun work on the other characters, it's clear that this gun was designed to be used on Nisha the Lawbringer for several reasons. The first is because of Nisha's Fistful of Bullets ability, which can add 3 additional bullets to the magazine of any weapon. Given the Luck Cannon's magazine size is 1, this bumps it up to 4. Another reason is because Nisha can dual-wield Luck Cannons with her 1 for each of your skill. Plus, once you start to combine both of these skills along with Trick Shot, Tombstone, Hot Lead, Magnificent 6, and Quick Shot, Nisha becomes almost unstoppable. All you have to do is activate Showdown, constantly fire, and the Luck Cannon will just kill everything. If you have Nisha fully leveled up in the pre-sequel, the Luck Cannon is definitely recommended, as it is probably the best gun in the game. Alright guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.